RC Underground Radio is your go-to podcast for everything RC.
Do you guys realize how much it costs to be friends with this dude?
Whether you're a dedicated racer or just getting started in the hobby, this is your show. Each episode features top-notch guests, industry leaders, and you, the racer. It's a community where listeners can learn, connect, and grow their passion for RC racing. So, grab your transmitter, buckle up, and join us on RC Underground Radio.
Say words.
Here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and TJ Greer.
Okay, we want to welcome everybody again. I can't believe how fast these weeks go, but we are back for another episode of RC Underground Radio. I've got the sidekick of all sidekicks, TJ Greer. Thanks for joining, TJ.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome, boys. Glad to have you guys on board. It's going to be a fun and exciting show, talking about the youth and the growth. So I'm excited to hear you guys' story.
So I love it, TJ, when we're going to talk to somebody who not only is involved in the hobby, but is helping to grow the hobby and actually plan for the future of the hobby. And that's what the Rising Stars program is all about. So I'm very proud and want to welcome to the show. We got Ryan Cobden and we got Brian Wynn. Guys, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come on.
Absolutely. And hey, you guys are from Canada, right? So
perfect. No, I'm Canada. He's
you're from Canada.
Yeah.
All right, that's okay. That's why I had to wear the hockey jersey tonight. Just for my Canadian friends. So cool. So just start us off, guys. Tell us. I just recently heard about this, and I was like, got a hold of TJ and said, "Man, this is it. This is the show. As soon as we can get them on, we got to get them on." So you guys are nice enough to really come on and very, very short notice, and we appreciate that. But tell us all about it. What is the Rising Stars program?
Okay, so basically 2018, another racer came to me and said, hey, Ryan, I want to put together this program. I'm going to get a bunch of sponsors. Would you help out? I'm the distributor for Team Zombie. So I said, no problem, send you some batteries. And his idea was we basically put together a kit, everything but a radio and a charger. And we're going to find someone at the Canadian On-Road Nationals and basically give this kid an upgrade. So it didn't have to be a kid, but it was a kid the first time. His name was Hunter. So nobody knew about it. It was like the race's best kept secret. The sponsors and the track owner, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically they stopped the race between rounds and called everyone to the track and made a big deal about this. And we announced that the videos are on the Facebook page, and we announced the winner, Hunter. And I mean, it's always great to give back. This hobby has given me so much over the years, and being able to give back is great. But I don't think until this year I really realized how much it hits people and how. I mean, the winner's blown away, but to see other racers and hear about it, like when I was walking through the pits in Cleveland on the weekend prior to doing the award, and just hearing people talking about it, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it sounds great. Just hats off to you guys for putting something like that together, and then to see it grow every year. Isn't that amazing, TJ?
Yeah, I just like the idea that you said it. It didn't have to be a kid, but you guys, looks like you guys lean towards that, which I think is amazing, because I'm always drawn to watch the kids race, at tracks, or give them a little bit of extra attention, or just something, so getting to see them be a part of a program that helps them grow, because Lord, we know these things aren't cheap. And for a kid to be able to be competitive and have top-notch products and products that are going to allow him to have that competitive edge, that's amazing.
We when we took this on the first year, I was just a sponsor. Martin Pillmajor was the guy who came up with the idea. So he took a little holiday from the hobby for a bit the following year. And the race director at Canadian Nationals called me and said, "Hey, are you coming to the race this year? And are you bringing Rising Star?" I said, "Rising Star wasn't my program. I just sponsored it." He's like, "Yeah, but Martin's he's not around right now." And so I called up all the sponsors and said, "Hey, do you want to do this again?" And everyone's on board. and they've pretty much been on board since then. I think we've lost a couple. We've added a lot more. And I think it was 2019. Brian came to me and said, I love what you're doing. I had to leave the room the second time because I got so emotional when it happened the first year. So, when you hear things like that, at the time Brian wasn't part of it. He was with a different brand. And he said, I want to get involved. And he was going to get that brand into that following year. So we were going to have 2 classes. Everything was set. And then COVID hit and the race was canceled. So COVID went, and when we moved on, and we picked right up where we left off. And I went to Cleveland 3 years ago, and Paul was a big supporter of this program. I was looking around, and there's a lot of sponsors there that were a part of it. And I just kind of walked up to them and said, hey, we've done the Canadian Nats for the last few years. Do you want to do it here? And everyone stepped up and said, yeah. They pulled stuff out of their pit box and put it together. It was, it was not our most organized one, but it was great. And then, again, nobody there expected it. Nobody really knew about it because it was really just happening at the Canadian Nats. And then now this is 3 years since we've done it. Brian came on board when he took over Destiny and one of my biggest supporters in it.
So what defines, or how do you, how many times a year is this happening? What makes a choice, because is it amongst a board? Do you guys just say, hey, we just picked one randomly, or is what makes that rising star something that really attracts you to them?
So basically we do it twice a year. So in the fall at Cleveland and then in the spring at Canadian Nats. You have to be participating in the race, and we spend our weekend racing and walking around looking at the pits and just trying to select a winner that really needs an upgrade. So Cleveland last year, it was an older gentleman who won the CRC 12 scale kit. Canadian Nats, it was Jordan. I'll tell you about Jordan's story a little bit later, but I think Brian is the one who found Jordan. Brian or maybe Mark, but anyways, he was like the perfect candidate. Brian and I just basically discuss it, try to figure out who's going to be the best fit. It doesn't always have to be someone who needs an upgrade of equipment. Sometimes it's someone who just has such amazing sportsmanship, and we see it at the race.
Like Simon this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Simon, he basically stood in the corner of the track all day Thursday and marshaled for everybody. So it's things like that the idea is to give back to the hobby. When I was growing up, I think I was around 13. My parents didn't have a lot, so I had a lot of used stuff. But the racers would always just help me out, and it meant a lot. And then now I'm in a comfortable position where I'm able to give back.
So Brian, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got involved with this, and what it means to you.
Well, I mean, I've been racing for, I think now 38 years. And so I've seen all aspects of it, starting as a customer and then spending years as a team driver and then working in the industry for a different brand for 18 years. And then during the end of that spell was where I met Ryan. And then when I left to start my own business and start importing cars and everything on my own, I went to him and I said, I'm in. Like, let's continue to do it. So it's, I guess maybe someday when I'm all done doing all of this racing, maybe somebody will look back and say, things were maybe a little better because he was here. Maybe not, but it's not all about the bottom line and about selling everything. It's just, sometimes people just need a little help or a little boost or just people to be around to make them better. And that's what we provide. And it's a fantastic program. I mean, when we say, like, they're not just winning a kit, they're winning like a full car, chassis kit, speedo, motor, tires, bodies, bearing kits, wire, connect, like everything. the stuff we gave Braden is nicer than the car I was racing, and I own the company. I mean, he literally got a turnkey A main in a box. So,
Wow.
it's just all these companies that like they want to participate, and I think it's only going to go up. So I don't know. We could all probably use a couple extra karma points in our lives. So, this helps too. And it just, when I went up to shake Braden's hand when he won, and he just like gave me the biggest hug ever, it just, sometimes, you can sell all you want, but sometimes that stuff works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just amazing. I mean, so I want to hear a little bit about some of these different winners that as much as you can tell us about them.
So let's start with Hunter. Hunter was the first winner. That was the year that we came up with a program, and he needed an upgrade. His equipment, everything needed an upgrade. He was, I'd say, around 15 or 16 at the time. And so now that's 2018. So 6 years later, he came to Cleveland. He is still racing, still running, basically all the brands that supported him. He's still supporting them. I find that when these racers win this, they are so, blown away and so excited, and they just appreciate what we've done for them and what these sponsors have done for them. They stay loyal for pretty well life after that. I mean, that was never the intention. That was like, oh, we're going to give this winner and then he's going to run our stuff forever. But it just seems to be happening that way. And I mean, it's a bonus for our sponsors. But I mean, they get a 1-year contract as well. So it's not just we give them the package and see you later. They get a 1-year sponsorship with all the brands.
Wow.
When the year's up, it's up to them if they want to renew or continue. Pretty sure all of them are still using our Team Zombie motors and batteries. I know that I think they're all using Destiny cars still.
Yep. They were all I had 5 of them pitting with me this year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know there's a couple that are no longer racing anymore. I think there's 3. But they didn't leave and go to a different brand. They just got out of the hobby.
Yeah.
Life changes. Yep.
Yeah.
But I think for all the winners, I believe all other than those 3, they're all still racing. So Hunter was our first, and then our second was Nathan. He's not racing any longer, but he was a Canadian as well. And he did this right up after, and it's hilarious. It's on the I think it's on the page as well. But if not, I'm going to reshare it this week because he talks about like having no budget for this, going to the Canadian Nat, saving his money. I mean, he wasn't a kid; he was in his 20s, I think, 30s. Like eating cream corn just to cut costs to save money to go to this race. It's all in that story. It's really cool. So we're gonna start doing highlights of the drivers. So now that we've got quite a few of them under our belt there, I've asked them to send me a picture of their pit and a little write-up on what the program means to them, what it's done for them, and how we can, if they have any suggestions on things we can do to improve it even more. But so they're starting to roll in now. So we're going to start doing driver highlights and then just try to grow it some more. I mean, it really comes down to the sponsors. I'm so fortunate that all these companies have really stepped up and helped out. We've asked track owners because, I mean, Brian, myself, you guys, we know running a track, there's not a lot of money there. The margins are razor thin.
Yeah.
But they all want to help. So what we've asked them to do is give the driver 1 year of racing for free for the class that they won. Now, some tracks give them complete racing for free. Some cover the one class, but we just added a New York GP and Apex Raceway as well to it. So that was great. It just seems like you said, you didn't know anything about it, and now it's kind of it's right here in your face. But the more people we can get behind it, it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to do more. RC Maker is a sponsor there in Australia, and he reached out to me I think it was 2 years ago, and said, "We got a guy here who wants to do something similar. Can you use the name?" And I'm like, "Yeah, take the name, run with it." It's so they did something. The guys in Alberta did something. In Quebec, they did something like on a smaller scale, but still something. So it's great. It's seeing it growing and like after taking over the first year and just seeing it growing and seeing more and more people getting excited about it. That hug that Brian was talking about. So when I got home on Sunday night and Monday night, I was laying on the couch and I was just kind of, my Facebook was blown up with Cleveland posts, but I saw that picture and I thought, like, that's when the first time I teared up. I get emotional about it, and it's, you get that great feeling, but seeing the picture of Braden hugging Brian and just it really hit me. It went to my heart. It was awesome.
The kids at the track, man, there's just something about, obviously we're adults playing with toy cars, and sometimes I think we forget really what that's like and what it's about and the real meaning behind it. I went racing, about 4 hours away last weekend, and this kid was there. I had no clue who he was. I've never been to this track. No clue who this little, probably 3 or 4 year old kid is, but he's been there all day long, sitting on the edge of this plexiglass window, watching every single race. Didn't know who he was. It looked like he was there with his mom. But I got off the driver's stand and he grabbed this car and he just held it. Didn't really say words too much, but he was just talking about the colors, and you could see he was really interested in it. Well, I really had to get back to the pit, so I was just going to leave the car with him. It'd be fine, And his mom's like, "No, let's not. If he breaks, I'd feel horrible." So I went and finished that race and grabbed my next car, went to the next one. And then I remembered I had an extra sprint wing out in the car. So I went out there real quick and threw a couple braces on it. And I walked up to him, like, "Here, buddy, now you can have some of those colors." It's just, it's always nice. I know it's nothing. It's just a sprint wing, but it made that kid's day. He walked around the entire track for the next 6 hours and carried that thing. We were there 12 hours hanging out, racing all day. And that kid was there all day long. Didn't drive a car. But I did find out later on, one of his dad is one of the team drivers on one of the same companies that I drive for. But I didn't know it at the time. So we had talked after the race and he had thanked me. But it's just that, man, that camaraderie of wanting to give back and, appreciate the future of this program. Because if we don't recognize what's up and coming, or help or lend a hand, just like you guys spoke, we may lose those people. Not because they can't afford it, but maybe they need to support. It's not easy to support this hobby. It's not cheap to be competitive. We always talk about being team drivers and having sponsors. Why don't you guys talk about the sponsors that are included? Start from the top, go through, riddle a couple of them off. You can give them shout outs, maybe what they're donating to the programs.
So the original sponsors was Orca, was Destiny, Team Zombie, Protoform, Motive, Gravity, Tires and Motors for USGT class. That was what we originally started with. Protoform put in the body, Orca put in the speed control, Zombie put in batteries and fan and some small accessories. Destiny put in the car. And then as it's progressed, they're pretty much all still there. Sometimes like for example, Orca didn't get involved in this last one, but they've been involved pretty well the whole time.
Yeah.
JT Bearings in Canada, he supports the race in Canada, but he only does Canadian business, so he didn't get involved with the US one. Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole list of sponsors now. It's if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So this past race, we had obviously Destiny, Team Zombie. We had Super Red Bodies, Dumper Speed Shop. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. Dale Crappie got involved, and so him and Brandon they both paint. So they give the winners custom paint jobs.
Nice.
So both of those guys are heavily involved. Dale's the one who's like really stepped up this time because we lost our servo sponsor. They're not in business any longer, and he reached out to High Tech and got us a deal with High Tech. So High Tech shipped us servos. With Orca stepping away this year, he reached out to Tekin, got us a connection with Tekin, and Tekin threw in the 1S speed control. So, I mean, this guy is actually, he referred to himself. He's like the pit bull. He's just in there going after anything he can get us, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's the one who reached out to
Andy
you.
Brooks from Sort of Fast. He threw in a couple bearing kits.
And some titanium too, I think, screws or something.
Yep.
I didn't see all the stuff.
There was a lot. It took 3 of us to hold the prizes for each of the winners. There was so
That's
much
great.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was just insane the amount of support. I know Kevin A. Bear is involved through, I think, Total RC.
Yep,
Mhm.
we've got a bunch of hobby shops now. So Total RC is one of them. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think the track, the hobby store at Rose City's involved, right?
Yep, MT Hobbies. Yep. There's another one in Quebec, northern Quebec. He's involved. I mean, and just more and more tracks just keep joining. Gravity Motive still involved heavily. Tony Sport, MR33. I called Tony last year and said, "Hey, this is what I've been doing for a few years. Do you want to get involved?" And he was 100% on board. Same as Ryan Maker, RC Maker.
Yeah. So there's stuff coming from Europe, Australia, Canada, North America. The States.
You guys are going full blown international.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great if someone in Europe said, "Hey, like, I want to do this. I want to have a rising star in Europe," and does it. I mean, that's my dream now. My dream was never it was going to ever get this big. I expected to have like 4 or 5 sponsors. I would just put in the money to cover the rest of the stuff that we needed. Donovan RC, he's involved.
Yeah.
As soon as I talked to him about it, he was on board 100%. I don't want to miss anybody. JB Carbon, so they make these really cool 3D printed battery boxes and cases to hold your setup station.
Obviously, it sounds like you guys have an immense amount of sponsors that have stepped up. What do you guys need? What more do you need? I mean, what could I do to help?
We'll always take on, like, if some more companies wanted to get on board, we would just have a 3rd Rising Star event instead of just doing 2.
Sure.
I mean, if we have a group chat and we just kind of keep it strictly to business when we're talking there, and Brian threw out an idea of another race that's coming up in Quebec, and he said, it's a pretty largely populated X-ray group there.
Mm-hmm.
So giving a Destiny car might not be the best fit for that area. So, I mean, if X-ray came on board, we just do one up there in an X-ray. But that being said, I mean, Destiny's been there from the beginning, and I've never had to ask. It's basically, I said, "Brian, hey, Rising Star's coming up." "Oh, yep, no problem." To the point that this year, he gave us a 12 scale and a touring car. So we had lost our 12 scale sponsorship, and I mean, I get it. Things change. Business people have different budgets for for donations, and we're very grateful for anything we've received. I even have racers. I met this guy in Denver at a race a couple years ago, and he knew about it because Donovan was involved, and I don't know if he's sponsored by Donovan or has a deal with Donovan, but he knew about it, and he was like, "Oh, you're that guy," and he's like, "I got a ton of stuff at home. I'm going to ship you." And I don't think I was home for 3 days, and then all of a sudden this box showed up, and there was bodies and a whole pile of other stuff in there. So
All of the past winners, I mean, this year in Cleveland, I think I had 4 or 5 in my pits. They're all like their own little community. Like they're helping each other, and they've all become friends off the track, and we've created a little group of that they're helping each other get better in, and providing support to each other. Let alone because I'm there, I got 30,
and you.
Well, I got and me. Riley, who won a couple years ago, he's stayed on board and he runs for me more than once. He has taken my car away from me and he says, "Let me work on this." He says, "You're too busy." This year in Cleveland, I got 35 people in my pits and everybody needs something at the same time. And I'm running around and I'm doing all this. And then I come back and one of my cars is gone. And Riley was like, "Yeah, I was looking at it. I didn't like a couple things. So I just took it. And I'm going to straighten it out for you." He did that at, the Royal Carpet Nats and I ended up winning, thanks to him. So, it comes full circle. I mean, we help them and then I guess as they get older, they turn around and help us too.
So Brian, I know you're being humbled, and I know you want the focus to be on the rising stars, and that's what this episode is about. But our listeners really like to know the guest and really like to know the background. So I know you've kind of been hesitant to talk about your company, but please tell us about your company.
I own Dupper Speed Shop. So I'm the North American importer for the Destiny line of on-road cars, 12-scale touring car, front-wheel drive. I also sell to both people and hobby stores a whole myriad of on-road products. I mean, bodies and tires and motors and speed controls and bearings and parts and just anything pretty much anything you need to go racing and on-road. I'm trying to almost like A-Main Hobbies, but a lot smaller. but it's another place for people to buy stuff. I try to be, fair with prices. And, Destiny was a brand that was probably on a downswing when I got involved. And, we released a new 12 scale. We released a new touring car and things are moving up at a rapid rate. So, I try to travel to as many races as I can. I go all over. I go to some pretty far out of the way places. I think I did 30 travel races in 52 weeks.
Where are you based out of?
Upstate New York, in Rome, New York. I don't know. I just love racing. I've been doing it for so long, and I've done so many different parts of it. There's really not a whole lot I haven't raced. I got enough going on. I just turning my head both ways, I can see 8 or 9 cars that can be race ready in less than 20 minutes.
All right, so good.
Especially if you get Riley over there for you.
Yeah. I see the one that passed you twice on Sunday, though. I see that one sitting right over there, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah. Well, we had some great racing.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the Cleveland was crazy this year. We had 470 cars across the classes, and 56 heats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somehow Brian and I both made the A-Main. I don't know.
Yeah, in the biggest class at the race, the 25.5 touring, it was there was a lot of good guys in the B main. I was surprised, but because it's Ryan's running the his team with all his zombie products, and then the maker car, and then I got all the Destiny stuff and all my guys. And we're running around like a couple of idiots. I mean, there's 56 heats. You'd think you'd have way more free time on your hands, 8-hour runs. And somehow I was rushing to tech every single race I was in. And somehow we made it, and we beat a lot of guys that are good. So, I mean, we like to joke around, but, there's a lot of experience between the two of us. So,
Hey, Ryan, you got to tell us about Zombie. Tell us about Zombie.
So, I told you earlier, I started in the hobby when I was like 13 or 14 in my local track. And we'd have Friday night races, and there'd be like an E main and an F main. So kind of back to the riding star as well. I didn't have a lot. I had used stuff, old Yokomos, like Tamiya, and I would look at these guys who had like the best of the best. So it was always my dream to have that stuff, but it wasn't, at 14 years old, no job or anything, it wasn't really affordable. And I met this guy, Timmy. So, he was one of the guys who was always winning, had the best of the best stuff. Fast forward to 2018, I decided I had stopped the hobby for a bit. Well, you never really stop, but I stopped racing for a bit. And I got back into it. I was at a place in my life financially where it was, not really an issue anymore. And so I was talking to him on Facebook, and I realized that he had this zombie brand. So I'm like, well, I want to support my friends, just like anyone does. So I ordered his stuff in, and it was good. The product was great. Quality was good. He didn't have any kind of distribution in Canada or North America, for that matter. So the entrepreneur in me, I own some other businesses, so I couldn't just make this a hobby like it was supposed to. It was supposed to be my downtime to relax, and I didn't. I made it a business, and at the time, I was only going to sell. My goal was just sell a zombie, just do distribution, sell to hobby stores, support tracks, things like that. Like take the profit to support my local clubs. So then I got into Rising Star that year, and then after that, I mean, I still take the profit to donate to tracks to help out. I'm fortunate that my main job pays my bills, so I don't need the income from it. But now Team Zombie, I started with Team Zombie Canada, and now it's Team Zombie North America. We sell batteries, motors, speed controls, fans, shims, charge bags, and I mean, pretty good quality stuff. I was charging some new packs we have that just came out, and the IR was 0.8 per cell.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with them, Zombie is very large over in Europe and Asia. So it's a name that's not super familiar over here. But, over there, it's actually quite popular to see Zombie products in the pits.
So now, 5 years, 6 years later, I mean, you go to Racing Canada and there's Zombie in everybody's pit. And now I'm working on the States. So this year we're going to do some more U.S. stuff, sponsor some more races in the States, get out there and just build that brand as well. There's a girl that does a lot of the social media stuff for me in the background. Her name's Katie. She does it for Rising Star. She does it for Zombie. She does it for free, just especially Rising Star. It's really important to her as well. So she does it all just, I mean, everybody in that program is doing it out of their own time and their own pocket. But so shout out to her for all her hard work as well. But yeah, the brand's growing. We have some great products. But now we're also a distributor for RC Maker. We sell Tony Sport MR33. I mean, the bodies, just like Brian, we sell a lot of the same products. And just like Brian, I think both of us have the same goal, is to grow the hobby.
The 9 to 5 pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it also, over the years, has afforded the opportunity to be in the hobby and to play with toy cars with friends and family and people that you meet that are become important in your life. And at some point, you have to go to the other side and you have to help the hobby. You have to support the hobby. And that's the whole reason we launched the show.
And probably anybody who's watching this, if they think back to when they started, somebody along the way, tossed them a set of tires, gave them an older motor. And at the time when you get it, you're like, wow, that guy wins almost every week, and he just gave me a motor. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing, just on a grander scale. But it's all about, a lot of times people do it and they don't even realize it. You have a body that's beat up and you just hand it to a kid whose body's in worse shape than yours, and you,
right.
You just say, here, man, go run this. So it's the same, it's the same premise that it's just, we all do it and we're not even realizing that you do it. But, now that we have an opportunity to do it on a bigger scale and, really, and of course we still do that stuff too, but this is, like leading up to Sunday when we actually made the announcement of who the winners were, I was asked numerous times, so who are you looking at for Rising Star this year? And, people were coming to us, giving us suggestions,
which is great because it's hard. It's definitely hard to pick somebody.
Yeah, I bet. And TJ and I got to experience that a little bit this summer. We did one of our RC Underground road shows and at Crown Jewel, and we had some products that we had brought, things to give away, but then some of these other racing manufacturers just, here, give this away. How about it, TJ? We had a ton on the table, And then
Yeah,
we
like-
had the one young man that really stood out to me, and you talked with him. So tell that story of when he got these items.
It was one of the Crown Jewel became one of the premier outdoor races. I mean, there was $21,000 given over 2 days to win over 7 or 8 classes. So it was pretty
Where's that
impressive.
held at?
It was held in Argos, Indiana. It's about an hour and 56 minutes away from where I live in Gas City, Indiana, at a track called Backyard Raceway, Tony Ligard's track. It's an awesome outdoor track, but we had pretty much like a vendor row, and then we had all the vendors there that wanted to set up and sell for the next 2 days. But yeah, Wits gave a bearing package with some wheels and tires, and then there was kind of like a little white piece of paper on there. Basically, all we did was whatever classes you ran, if you ran 3 classes, we gave you 3 tickets. If you ran 6 classes, we gave you 6 tickets. And then, we would just draw out tickets and post them up on the board and, first come, first serve. If you find out you won something, come up and grab whatever. Well, Wits donated that package, and on the package it said, $50 like store credit to Nebel Racing. And he had no clue. I was actually in another vendor's trailer. We were just discussing like the game plan to move forward because we knew the track was changing. And this kid come in and he was like super pumped. He is like, man, I would never be able to afford these bearings, and I would never be able to afford this. And I literally just won this for free. And then I looked at him and was like, well, you just won more than bearings and tires. You should read the fine print on there. And he looked and he was like, $50? I got $50 to spend. I mean, he was losing his mind. Had no clue. He was like, oh, I never would have been able to have anything this nice in my car. But it was just nice to see as a racer to be able to give back. It was like Christmas in July, basically, for the racer. You can give them, tires, wheels, toolkits, bodies. Shark gave out bodies. Cheaters Inc. gave out braces, a couple batteries. They had just given out a bunch of stuff, so it was really cool for us to be able to give back. And, that was overwhelming because I actually had to step away. I told Dave, I was like, hey man, I gotta focus on this race because I'm a little behind the 8 ball, so, but it was awesome. It was really fun to be able to give back and see how many racers just had an absolute blast, just getting just a little something, even if they didn't win, they left the track with a little something. So it could have been done without Dave stepping up, all the sponsors, all the companies that donated, because they didn't have to, but they wanted to be a part of it, and that was awesome.
Yeah. So what we're hoping we can do, with what you're doing with the Rising Stars is crazy enough. We have a following all over the world. I don't know how the heck that happens, but but it does, right? And we actually just got the Spotify results today, and we're a top 10 podcast on Spotify. That's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous to me. But okay. But no, we have a lot of loyal listeners. And actually, we're in a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking to a gentleman who runs a racing organization in the UK.
Like I said before, I never expected this to get to anywhere near what it's at now. And I mean, the more the merrier, in my opinion. Brian and I were talking at this past race, what we spend on sponsoring a race, or sponsoring a class, whatever the deal is, to what this cost us. I mean, and I'm not saying, don't sponsor a track, but I think return on investment for a sponsor, this cost is pretty minimal to the return.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I mean, in Brian's case, he's donated 2 cars, so his money's a little bit more than say some of the rest of us, but what you get, I think what you get and what it does for people. I mean, the winner alone, it usually blows their mind, but this past weekend really made me realize how many people who didn't win or don't need to win, but how much it touches them and how much it really means a lot.
Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has been curing poor traction since 2016. The name says it all. If you're not popping wheelies, it's not Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's has become known across the United States on dirt oval to off-road, asphalt to concrete, carpet to hardwood, and so many other surfaces. Papa Willie's continues adding to their lineup with tonics for cold and hot weather. Loose dirt to high traction, dry dirt, wet dirt, clay and abrasive surfaces, along with anti-drag bearing oil, tire cleaner, tire glue, pit accessories, and swag. You can find the complete Papa Willie's catalog at www.papawillies.net. Prepare for victory with Papa Willie's Traction Tonic.
Be sure to use promo code RCUR for 10% off your next purchase at Papa Willie's.
Folks, are you looking to gain a 10th on the racetrack or maybe get a few ladies like Taylor Swift in your pit stall? Well, I'm sorry to say that Carpies can't work miracles in those departments. But here's the good news. The folks at Carpies can definitely help you become the ultimate toy car nerd, just like me. How, you ask? Well, with their custom wraps and killer collection of official RC branded merch. So while they can't promise to shave a 10th off your lap time, they can save you 10% on your next order with promo code RCU10 upon checkout at carpies.com, CARPYS.com. Wrapping winners since 2013.
I was telling you that we'll talk about some of the other winners. So Riley, who Brian's referred to a couple of times, it was the first time I was in Cleveland. We were sitting in the pits, myself and a couple of my good friends. And so Jason and I are talking about, how we're going to get the car to work better. It's just, we're fighting with the car the whole day. It's it's Friday night. It's like 3 a.m. And I look over and Riley's sitting at the table across from us. And he's come over a few times, introduced himself, and like really, really nice kid. So comes over and he has an old T4 and kind of held together with some duct tape and love. And I think I had just switched to an X4 chassis, but I had a ton of T4 stuff that I was never going to use. So I just gave it to him to kind of fix up his car and get him back on the track. And so when I also knew obviously that we were doing Rising Star at that point. This kid was just so appreciative. I mean, he was 20, he's not a kid, but just so appreciative of the $20 or $30 of spare parts I had that I gave him that I have no use for. Mm-hmm. So as the weekend goes on, I find out that he's working 2 jobs plus going to school, bought a house, like a starter house, and just a good all-around kid. So we picked him and he won, and I mean, like Brian said, he's still running the cars. He's still heavily involved. He's now always willing to help other people, which is, I mean, I think he was already like that anyways. But right. A lot of people came over to me at different times and said, "Yeah, that was a great pick. He's a great winner." And then this past year in Canadian Nats, so the winner's name is Jordan, and we were having trouble picking somebody because it's typically we're looking for someone who's not sponsored or has minimal sponsors. And I mean, nowadays everybody's sponsored. I think I'm the only person who's not sponsored, but technically I sponsor myself, I guess. But right. So finding someone is hard, and I think Brian would agree. It's probably the hardest part of the program. Yeah, is finding a driver, not finding sponsors. So we're trying to figure out who we're going to give this kid to in the Canadian Nats. And I don't know if it was Brian or Mark, the owner of the track, but one of them brought me over.
I think it was Mark.
It was Mark? Okay. Yeah. And said, take a look at this kid's pit. So we walk over to the room where they're pitting and just pretend like we're talking about something else and, not making it obvious that we're looking at his stuff. So he was running a car that I think was 15 years old.
Wow.
that he wasn't even actually allowed to use it out that weekend because there was no parts left. His dad didn't want him to break it. So he was borrowing somebody else's car. Pretty sure he had a transmitter that still used crystals. He was using NiCad batteries. Like this guy, he had everything that we would like that we're looking for. The needing a serious upgrade. And so the the weekend goes on, and then and nothing against Scotty. Scotty did a great job doing the presentation. He stopped the race for it. But Canadian Nats, they shut everything down. They pull everybody out of the pits. If you're in the pits, Mark's going and getting you, and he's dragging you out. He wants everybody at the track to do for the presentation, and so we called him up, and this kid was blown away. And then other people just started giving him stuff. Like, he needed a radio, and I think one of the guys gave him a radio or hooked him up with a radio. It's great, and it just shows that if you start it, everyone else will follow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing with RC. It's people have a big heart. You guys obviously are, let's show that, and all your sponsors. And then, when other racers also go, this is my opportunity. Like, here's my opportunity to show some fellowship. I've had this in my heart. I just didn't know where to go with it. Here's the perfect time. And they do that. Yeah. It just blows you away. And it just reminds me why we all do this, right?
When you give that award and you look at the look on people's faces, and the winner's look is always the same thing. Stunned, like, can't believe it. But when you see the people watching and the look on their face and the gratitude that they have for it, and then obviously the sponsors. This year we had most of them at the race, which was great because they were all there for the photo. Sometimes they're, they can't be there, and we'll put somebody to stand for them. But it's big, and I think. This podcast is great. It just seems to be like this year, there's just so much more people getting involved, and can't ask for anything more than that. Oh, I was just going to say, like, I'll tell you firsthand, when we're on the track, Brian and I are competitors, and he had the faster car on Sunday, but I was not letting him pass till I did. But off the track, even though we sell competing products, and along with the other sponsors as well, we're all good friends. We all, and I think some of these guys I've become good friends with. I didn't really know them that well before, but we all have the same thought. Let's grow this hobby that we're all passionate about. Let's do these things so we can give back. And does that mean that the person watching is going to go buy a Destiny kit tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that if you are looking to buy something, take a look at these sponsors, because these are the guys that are putting something in there. They don't need to do it. They don't have to do it. Mm-hmm. The bigger companies are not getting involved. So you look at the smaller companies and look what they're doing.
Hey guys, I can't thank you enough for jumping on. This has been a great episode. I knew it would be. Shout out to Colors by Crappie for calling me up and saying, "Hey, can you talk to these guys?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's that about?" No,
let's talk about it. Watching, Dale, where's my paint? Where's my bodies? Come on, Dale.
He sent me a message saying that he had talked to you, and I honestly think I don't even know if he'd finished hitting send, and then you messaged me as well. So it was great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So,
great. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Again, just want to thank you guys, Ryan, Brian. Just a great thing you're doing, a great program. All these sponsors that are involved, TJ, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's unreal, man. The amount of support that you guys have received over the last few years and how much it's grown to be what it is, it's unbelievable. So hats off to you guys. I appreciate what you guys do. I think it's unreal. Don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks again. Everybody who turned in and listening, we just appreciate you. And 10% 10% on Spotify. Crazy. That's because of you, the fans. So very humbled. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week for more RC content.